We're gonna make it. So thanks again for joining. Oscar, you're back.
What's up?
Listen, I just told everybody I'm not giving up, you know. I think this
Uh,
is one this is gonna be a good one, and I do want to have it on record, you know. So I'm
uh,
gonna go right at it and go speed up the process because I introduced you like seven
yeah.
times by now. Guys, we have Oscar Martinez, the
Sure.
producer of BIG, in the past or currently of San Antonio and New York and soon to be Texas for the first time. Very excited. And been doing it for quite some time. Oscar, how long you've been putting Latin dance events together?
Um, I want to say maybe about 12 years now. Of
12
course,
years.
our longest running event is 7 years, which is a big salsa festival in San Antonio, going on the eighth year. But I started off kind of helping other events, just kind of, get off the ground, organizing them. There's where I kind of got my start to learn, how everything goes with the artists, the hotels and everything like that. And then from there, we just kind of kept going forward until we did our own.
So I'm going to be very selfish here. I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions because clearly we're both doing very similar things. Um,
Mm.
what does it take to put a Latin dance event, and we're going to talk about that in a second, but for that long, for 12 years, 10 years, 5 years, because you've been around for a while, I've been around for a while, and I see a lot of events popping up, and 1 or 2 or 3 years later, they're done. You've
Yeah,
been
yeah,
around for a
yeah.
while. How come? Share with us the secret.
Uh, I think mainly it's just having a great idea and then also having a great team behind you because to do events like this and make sure they keep growing, doing the promotion, putting all the headliners together, it's a lot of moving parts. You definitely have to have a good team behind you and also make sure you take care of them. So as far as putting the events, nice lineup, make sure everything runs on time and make sure you have a good time with the people and take care of them. As promoters, sometimes like we kind of get really busy during our events. We need to make
No
sure like when
way. You get
somebody,
busy? I
no,
have
not
nothing
at
to
all.
do on ADC. I'm just chilling.
Yeah, one of the things we definitely need to make sure is whenever they stop and talk to us or ask us a question, I know there's a million things going on in the background, but definitely pay attention to them and try to answer their question or direct them, the right way.
So you mentioned a great idea and a good team. I mean, I cannot agree with you more about the good team, the great team, because both of us, I believe, because I met your team too and you met mine. I mean, without them, we would not be here. But a great
Yeah.
idea, let's be honest, we're not the first people to put a Latin dance event together, right?
Hmm.
Yet
Yeah.
somehow, some way, 12 years for you, about 11 years for me. Um, I want to hear from you. What's your secret sauce? Because it's not just having fun and booking artists. It takes a lot to bring the amount of people that you bring, not just to one event, but now you have like
Mhm.
three.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, man, honestly, whenever we first started our event, is one, the organization. Like, so the timing of when you schedule things, they have to go off on time. That's one of the biggest complaints I hear, about whenever we go to other places, like, oh, show start at 9, but they didn't really start till 10:30. So
Oh,
time
Latin time,
is
Latin time. Yeah.
yeah, but let's not do Latin time. But yeah, it's usually Latin time. But if we can honestly just like organize ourselves to make sure everything goes off, on time, the people will start getting used to, let's say for us, a lot of times show times start late, but at BIG, people are used to the show starting on time, so they get there early. In the first year, maybe even two, like people would kind of show up late, but when they saw, oh man, like I missed already like the first like 8 shows, they get used to coming on time. So you kind of have to build that culture for them. Make it be known that your event is run like a tight ship.
So having the event running on time, delivering on what you
Yeah,
promised, but still take me 12
yeah,
years back, to bring people to an event that nobody knows, it's quite of a challenge. What did you do
yeah,
back
yeah.
then and what do you do today? Because again, how many times I can see San Antonio or New York City, yet people keep on coming
Mhm.
back to your events and they're always in the same location, yet they keep
Yeah,
coming back. Share with us the secret.
yeah.
I'm taking notes.
Um, so for sure, whenever you do these events, like whenever I did an event in Austin before I did BIG with Roy. a guy named Roy. What we wanted to do is we wanted to bring dancers, instructors, that are top of the level, and then also they're able to go out there and mingle and social dance with the people, because I think that's one of the things that sometimes instructors could forget is that these people, they come out to see you, to dance with you, and to hang out with you. Yeah, the shows are good, and everything like that, but the main thing is being able to kind of hang out and talk to, for some of these dancers, like their idols or somebody that they look up to, that they want to kind of eventually kind of get to where they're at. So if you can do that, and I try to hire artists who are going to spend time with the people. That way, everyone feels comfortable. It feels more like a family atmosphere, and not just like we're down here, they're on stage, and we don't see them ever again.
Now,
Something of that sort.
how does that work? Because I say it and I hear it a lot, among a lot of promoters, but yet, there's this funny situation where people add it to the contract. You have to social dance with everybody. It's like, I
Uh-huh.
find it very entertaining because it's like saying, you better be nice,
Yeah.
but yet
Yeah.
you do manage to find these people that actually do that,
Mhm.
be with the people, which is a very broad statement. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
how do you pick and choose?
So I mean, I see that, and like honestly, because some instructors or some artists can be one way at an event and then completely different at another event. So like with some of the promoters that I've talked to, and they said that they put that in their contract, I would try to tell them, don't do that, because people don't like to be told what to do, especially if they do it for their living. So what I try to tell them is, like, just make sure whenever they get to your event, you're taking care of them, you're talking to them, you be friends with them, make them feel super comfortable, and they're gonna want to have a good time at your event. They're gonna want to make sure the people have a good time at your event, because you're taking care of them. They're gonna take care of you. Like, so you guys kind of become friends, family, with some of these instructors.
I'm glad you said that because I really think this is where everything changes. In most cases, sometimes you work with people, they just don't get it, and most likely you won't work with them again. But
Yeah.
I think it starts with you. Like in most
Yeah.
cases, same goes to the dancers. When you take care of these dancers, these artists, they tend to be nice to our people too.
Hmm.
So that being said, what do you do to take care of these dancers? Because they speak highly about how they've been treated at your events.
Oh, that's awesome. So yeah, definitely one of the things that we do is once again, listen to them. Sometimes they have some requests, or they like certain DJs or stuff like that. Like, we make sure to try to accommodate them as much as we can. And then of course, whenever we're here, like sometimes some of the artists like Osmar or Karel, or some of these different people, like they want to stay an extra day and we get to hang out with them. Just mainly make sure, because they do this for a living and they're traveling all the time, so we got to make sure that when they're at your location, that they have nothing to worry about, and they feel like they're kind of on a vacation. So um, honestly, just make sure they feel comfortable. Ask them if they ever need anything to let you know, and be able to deliver them on that suggestion.
Nice. Now, what would be your tip for all these dancers that want to be hired, like these main major well-known artists that you just mentioned that get hired all the time? What do you think is like the common ground between all of these very successful dancers that because of that they keep getting hired, because of that they keep traveling around the world and make it a real business, and not just a side thing?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would honestly say, for like, people coming up and everything like that, whenever you go to an event, the promoters are super busy. So definitely try to make sure that, get the information that you need, and then try to be as easygoing and flexible when you get to that event. Yeah, so if you're asking, a bunch of questions, like, it can be like, okay, like, I definitely want to take care of you. The promoter definitely wants to take care of you. But the less, like, the more they can like take care of themselves, like the better. So that way, because the promoter has like a million things to do. On top of that, do try to be out like with the people and social dance as much as you can, because it's the people that usually say, man, I saw this artist and he was down there dancing all the time and he was hanging out with us. When you hear that as a promoter from your people, you definitely consider bringing those people back, for sure.
Guys, I hope you're taking notes because I cannot agree more with those 2 points that you just mentioned. Make our life easy, and make sure that people talk about you either because your workshop was amazing, your show was amazing, or for us, I think you agree with me. The most important thing, you were nice to the people, you were out there, you were dancing. I mean, it's so basic, but my God,
Yeah,
we many times we pick people just because of that, you know?
yeah, yeah, for sure.
Now
Yeah,
let's
even,
flip this. Go ahead. Go ahead.
oh, sorry. I was gonna say one thing. Like, I feel like I've even done this to that point because as artists, yeah, you definitely want to have your shows and your workshops. I've even gone as far as sometimes like when I see like somebody social dance and everyone really loves to social dance with them. I talk to that person like, hey, come to the event. I've brought people who social dance, like, and they're known for just social dancing because they're out there all the time. They love to social dance. So whenever you have whenever you can bring an atmosphere like that together for everybody, to where you have people social dancing, really good, dancers, or even like people who like to talk and chat, that they're cool to kind of hang around with, it's good to have those people at your event.
100%. Now, let's flip the script really quick because we just said everything that we want, from the side of
Uh,
the production side. But now let's talk about the dancers. Some people really paved the way for people like you and me to put up events and, to have what we have. Yet some people also made it very difficult for us, because of the
mhm.
way they treated dancers or didn't deliver on their promise. What would you say for these dancers that are just like, some promoters simply don't treat them right, let alone not pay them. But like, just, how should they deal with a situation like that?
Do you mean in the sense of a promoter that cannot pay the artist? Is that what you're saying?
Not getting
Or
paid,
they don't take
obviously.
care of their artists?
I mean, not getting paid, they would never, work with them again, I assume. But if they go to an event and they're not being treated the way they should be treated, basic needs, deliver what they promise, having the rooms ready, backstage, information about their show, how can they communicate to the promoter and not bother them, or just make sure that they both grow? Because at the end of the day, both need each other, right?
Yeah. So the artist to the promoter is what you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and I've heard this a lot because I talked to a lot of instructors. So I would say like some needs like now a lot of artists they have like, hey, we need 2 meals per day, we need this, we need that. So some of that stuff should be hopefully taken care of ahead of time by the promoter. But let's say they don't take care of it. They should have a good team for if they don't take care of it ahead of time, the instructor should be able to come up to them like, hey, we're hungry. You brought us on Thursday, but you're only offering food on Friday and Saturday. Like you got to be able to, if you're really busy and you got other stuff to do, have a second person or a third person right there and be like, hey, can you take care of this artist right here? Make sure they have their food, or make sure they're able to check into their room because something like that, like name, but their actual name is something different. You need to have some people there helping you that can branch off and be like, hey, make sure this person is taken care of because I still have to do these things. As an instructor, you should be able to ask for your necessities, your basic necessities, like that. Don't be shy. I saw Jen on here, Jennifer Isabel from J Squared, and I was talking to her the other day because she's vegan, and so like that's happening more often now. Like, don't be afraid to ask the promoter, like, hey, like you're vegan, like, but you still need to eat. So if you're providing meals or somebody's making meals for the instructors, like, okay, for that person, like you should be able to make an exception. Like it's not that bad. Like let them order room service or let them order something on Uber Eats and just reimburse them. Like take care of your artists as much as you can, promoters as much as you can.
Yep, I really hope people take notes of that because it's so easy when you start an event to think about how you're going to process payment, how many people you're going to have at the cashier, the stage needs to be really big. I don't know, all the other things that are important, but
Yeah.
sometimes you don't need that big of a stage. Sometimes you don't need certain things, yet you do need to pay attention to the people that you hire. You know, they're people. Um, that's great.
Yeah.
Guys, if you have any questions, please post them here. I would love to ask Oscar whatever you have on your mind. So feel free. That's why we do it here and we don't pre-record it in a different way because we want you guys to be involved. Oscar, why Latin dance events? You can do so many other events. You can do, you know, you can open a business. You can, I don't know, open a coffee shop. Why Latin dance events?
Um, Honestly, dancing is something that I love to do. I've been dancing for a long time, and it's something that I love to do. So putting on an event where other people could enjoy your passion, just it doesn't make it seem like we're working. Yeah, we're nonstop going, and we're super tired because at the congresses we didn't sleep that much, or at least at the congresses, that we put on ourselves, we don't sleep that much. But man, honestly, like I just love it. Like I love to dance. I
100%.
love to hear the music. I love to see other people enjoying themselves and growing. Like, I especially love to see beginners, come up and they get to a certain point, like to where, they're enjoying themselves with a ton of people that they probably would have never known if they never danced before.
100%. And I think that's also the secret for your amazing team and vice versa for me too. You know, people that really enjoy it and you can tell from a mile away. You know, I
Mhm.
enjoy cleaning the stage before people go and perform there. I mean, I enjoy putting all the little things because I want to see a good show, you know?
Yeah, for, for
And
sure.
people
After the sh-
smiling is the
after,
best.
yeah, after the shows, like you'll see me like, man, as a promoter, you got to be able to get in there. Just get in there. Because after the shows, every time there's like 1,500 people, 2,000 people leaving like the seats and stuff like that. Of course, they're gonna leave their drinks. Like it's never gonna happen to where everyone picks up their drink, nobody spills water on the dance floor. Like that's never gonna happen. So
Nope.
once we move everybody outside of the room, you got to be ready to just start picking stuff up. Like, yeah, people are going to help you. And when they see you working, they're going to want to help you. Like, even if it's like regular just attendees or volunteers, like, hey, I see him working. Like, let me help him. Does that make sense? So, like, as a
100%.
leader, yeah, you definitely have to like set the example and everybody's going to join in to make sure you make it happen for people.
DJ Ewell, one of our main DJ on ADC, you're gonna get to dance to his music on ADC Cuba coming up in June. He's asking
Yeah.
what keeps you motivated.
Uh, what keeps me motivated? Man, honestly, like I just want our events to continue to represent, make sure when the people come out that they're having a good time. Like I want them to have a good time and I want them to come back. When somebody comes back, it's because they had a great time. And that's that's my main thing is making sure everyone is good. They're having a good time because they're asking off of work, they're spending money. You want to make sure they're good. And if they come back, there's like, boom, big compliment right there because you came back, you really enjoyed the event. That's my motivation behind everything.
You know, one of the sayings that I presented to my team, and I have it in my office, and I keep repeating it. I'm not trying to go too cliche here, but Disney said once, do your job so well so they want to come back and bring their friends. And it's so
Hmm.
true. I mean, you don't need to spend crazy amount of money on marketing and go crazy and have a nice flyer and a bigger banner in the next Congress. I mean, my God, like the, I see some events with like some huge banners and lights and pop-ups and iPads. You know,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
just
yeah,
simply need to
yeah,
take care of the five people that come to your event because next year it's going to be 15 and then it's going to be 40 and then it's
yeah.
going to be
Hmm.
2,000. It's
Yeah,
that
for
simple.
sure.
For the very few people that never attended a Congress or a dance event, you know, Congress is a scary word. What is it and why they should go to a Latin dance event like that, a Congress, if they love the music or whatever? Like, what's the benefit of attending?
Honestly, I kind of want to direct this question like to the dancers and then also to directors. Like, let me start with directors because I feel like we talk to them or I keep a open line with them a lot more. For the directors, and I know it happens with me because I have my dance teams, is I want to take them to these events and make sure it's a good event, with a nice lineup. Because whenever these people go to these events and they perform or they're taking these workshops, they really get inspired. So, and if you can inspire your students, then you can almost guarantee that they're gonna fall in love with it and they're gonna stay longer. And if they stay longer, then it makes our scene grow, and then everyone benefits if the students are having a good time. For the students, whenever you go to these events, just like don't be scared, don't be intimidated, because I've seen that a lot. Like even non-dancers or people who just like the music and they kind of dance a little bit. Like my brother and his wife, for example, they came to the event and you see them at the club all the time dancing, you know, their cumbia to salsa. But then they go to the event and they don't want to get up and they don't want to dance. Honestly, just go out there. Nobody's judging. Like everyone is honestly there just to have a good time and dance with each other. Because if there's no other place that you can go where you can go ask another random person to dance that you've never met before, it can be somebody's wife or somebody's husband, and they're gonna say yeah, and nobody takes any offense to that. So everyone's there honestly to have a good time. Just do it your first time, because once you jump in, you're gonna want to continue to go back for those students.
100%. And that's what I think makes it so different, like makes what we do and the Latin dance events so different than any other. Like you just said, you can go to a club, like, I love EDM, I love rock and roll, but at the end of the day, if you go by yourself, you're by yourself. But
Yeah,
when you
yeah,
go
for
to
sure.
social dance, and I'm sharing my personal experience. I moved to Miami, I didn't know one person here. And it's amazing how
Mm.
in one night you can meet 30, 40 people and feel good about it, not awkward because you're in a bar by yourself and you're trying to ask some people, hey, where are you from? So it's just
Yeah,
such
yeah,
a
yeah,
beautiful
yeah.
thing. Let's see, we have some questions here. Performance passes being oh wow, that's a lot of text. I'm
Yeah.
going to try to keep up here with a question with the questions from our friends. But another question for you, how did you start? When was that you got introduced to the Latin dance and scene and music as a whole?
When did I? Oh my goodness. So I want to say I was maybe 19. So I grew up here in Houston, and so my parents they would listen to like cumbia and norteño, which is like country music, but in Spanish. So I grew up dancing that, and then I want to say like middle school I started like breakdancing and doing hip hop. So I joined this team that was like a hip hop team, but the main director was Puerto Rican. So she wanted to add some salsa into the routine. So that's how I kind of got introduced a little bit into it. From there, we did a show at a salsa event that she knew of. I had no idea of this salsa bachata world or anything like that. We did that show, and then I guess somebody saw us performing, and they invited us to join their team. So I started that way. Like I got introduced by a friend of mine, and then from there, somebody asked us to join their team, and then I just kind of started dancing. I actually did my
And you
first
got hooked.
performance yeah, I just got hooked. Actually, it took me a little while to kind of get hooked. I just love performing and I love the music. And so whenever we joined this team, 1 month later, the director sends us off to an event, and it's a Latin jazz event. So Poncho Sanchez was there, which I didn't know at the time. I wish I would have known who he was, because when I went to the event, I did my show, and I was just kind of sitting there watching the concert. I was like, I don't know how to dance. I don't know any of this music. But later on, I'm like, oh man, Poncho Sanchez was there, Jimmy Bosch was there, like all these amazing artists were there, and I had no idea who they were. But I kind of got started like that, and just little by little, taking workshops, trying to learn how to social dance, and then I just kind of kept going from there.
Are you gonna perform on ABC? Because I'm about to make it mandatory.
You're gonna make it mandatory. Yeah, definitely. What you call it? I mean, I'm going over there with my partner, so I'm down to perform.
I put it in the books. Serious question from one of our friends, Beto here. He wrote quite a bit, but I'm going to rephrase. How do you manage with the situation? And I hear it quite a bit. When you hire those amazing professional dancers that put so much time and work into their craft to put those like Dancing with the Stars like shows, yet you also want to support student teams, and it's the business, when they bring their friends and family and they perform on stage, yet their shows are yet not there yet. They're students, they're
Uh-huh.
semi-pro, they're student team for a reason. How do you manage that without hurting the quality of the event, or take all of that criticism? I have my own answer, but I want you to go first.
Um, so I'm gonna try to answer this question. I don't think I missed anything because somebody called and they kind of cut us off. But I did read it. So it talked about the performers or people having to buy performance passes, and now we're kind of gearing towards like student teams. If I have that right, I'm gonna answer it like this. So Congresses have changed. The environment of events have kind of changed, and we want to as promoters, be able to support like all these student teams going up, because everyone starts somewhere. I understand when I first started, like I remember LA, they used to have an approval process, and if you, I guess, weren't good enough, then you couldn't perform. But you know, it's been a long time since those times. Now there's so many events, and I think it's kind of changed to where, like, you know, you want to have like even these student teams just to kind of get on that stage, because once they get on that stage, then they kind of become inspired, and they see their video and they're like, oh man, I forgot to do this and I want to do this. Like, let me go practice more so I can get better. We kind of honestly like have to be open to the idea of giving them a platform just to kind of be able to jump off of and like and inspire them to grow. That's the way I see it. I don't see it really as us trying to like bring a bunch of student teams to make revenue. Like honestly, for me, it's all about the growth, and then giving somebody like that opportunity to do that. Because as a director, I see it in my students. So if I see it in my students as a director, I know other directors are going to be successful in having their teams go up there and their students, you know, getting inspired, staying longer, and then wanting to like just hit it hard whenever they get back home.
I agree with everything that you said. I mean, it's a real conversation. Some people see it in different ways. I see in
Yeah.
many events they put the students earlier in the day, the professional at night. I mean, yes, it's a business move too, because you do want to satisfy the people that pay very well at the door to see those amazing shows that we promote. Yet you do want to give a stage for people like you and me that we're by no means anywhere near those amazing professional level dancers, but you want to give them that stage so they can become a better dancer, they can get inspired, you deliver an experience. Who knows, maybe one day they're going to become a promoter of an event or
Yeah.
open a studio. So you do want to give them the chance and that experience.
Yeah.
For me, I think it's about transparency with your people. Either you call one night, which we do on ADC, a rising stars or a student night or whatever it is, and you let all of these teams perform and everybody show up to give them that support and cheer for them. Or you
Hmm.
split the night to early shows, later show, whatever it is, or you mix them nicely, but yet you make sure that you still have high quality shows more than not, you know. But you cannot go wrong. It's really depends on how you see it and how do you think it's the best for your event, and most importantly for the people that attend.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, I would say in this case, what you call it, like the matinee, like a lot of things have changed. Like now there's like the matinee shows and everything like that, which is yeah, just like as you said, there's where you would put, you know, some of the student teams or solo acts or stuff like that. But yeah, try to honestly just try to schedule them in. Do try to mix them up. We do try to put like some good shows, or like we'll put like a random headliner like in the matinee shows, so that way, like it kind of balances everything out. One of the things that we do is actually in the matinee shows, because now there's so many performances. Some people, if they've been dancing for some time, they don't want to be in the matinee show. But what we've kind of done to kind of counteract that is in the matinee shows, we tell them that there's going to be some people there, and three of the top performances go into the night show. Just so that way they also have, you know, some kind of incentive to be like, oh man, I'm going to have a great show. I'm going to do this because I want to be, you know, in the night shows. It's tough to put everybody in the night shows, but it's just something like to kind of help out, to make sure everything kind of
You
runs
know, it
somewhat
goes
smooth.
back to what we talked about earlier today, about these professional dancers that support the promoters and not giving us hard time. You know,
Mhm.
sometimes the most professional dancers with the most talent and the most experience are so easy to work with. If I put them
Yeah.
the last show or second to last or fifth to last, they never complain,
Uh-huh.
you know, because they
Yeah.
understand, you know, it's this is why they get hired. This is why they're pros.
Yeah.
That's why they're
Uh-huh.
in business for so many years. Stop looking
Yeah.
in between the lines, what time you perform, what number you are. Just put the best show you can possibly put. And if it's not the best
Yeah.
show, go back to work and make it better. You know, it's like us
Yeah.
complaining about having less people this year. You know, one
Yeah.
of the funniest things that I hear is that there is no money in the Latin dance. No, my friend, you have a shitty event. That's what I think. You know, like if you put up a good product, people are gonna come. You know, and if
Yeah.
you're gonna put up a good show, there's a very good chance you're going to close. And if you're not going to close, it doesn't matter. I had so many shows
Yeah.
on ADC that got standing ovation. They were one of the first shows. So what?
Yeah.
Get
Yeah.
out of
Yeah,
it.
for
You know,
sure.
it's just, anyway, I hope I'm not going too far here. But anyway, another question here is,
No, you're good.
when
Yeah.
is a good time to move from being a social dancer in socials and club to come to a congress? There's a good time.
Honestly, anytime, like anytime, just whenever, honestly, once you hear about a congress, just go check it out. Like there's no timeline, like you need to be dancing in like 1 or 2 months, or you need to take this many classes. Like you should just be able to kind of go out there and have a good time.
Correction from Daniel here with this question. When is a good time to put a congress together as an organizer, as a,
Oh,
you
okay.
know?
When is a good time?
Uh-huh.
When is a good time to put a congress together? Man, that's kind of a tough question. Honestly, like there's a lot of events going on nowadays. If you do want to do something, if your city doesn't have anything, it'd be a great time. But do ask advice of somebody who's been doing it, for a long time to kind of help you out or do something of that sort because a lot of mistakes can be made and those mistakes are costly. If you do have like multiple events in your city, which like now is certainly the case, I would say start off with the weekender. Start off with the weekender, and just kind of build that up. Make sure the people are having a good time locally, and then little by little, if it goes good, like other people from out of town will start coming into your weekender, and then it'll grow into something. I don't feel like people should need have that like mindset like I need to do a congress, I want to do a congress, I'm gonna move it in the hotel right away. You got to kind of check your scene out and see what fits. So for some it should start with the weekender. For some, if there's no congress there at all and you want to take the gamble, go ahead and start with the festival at a hotel.
I mean, I agree with what you said. I think the time is whenever you think the time is. At the end of the day, you're gonna have to put the work. You're gonna have to deliver and over deliver, and
Mhm.
you know, just get ready for what it like. Just understand what it takes. Unfortunately, a lot of people that own a dance studio and are great performers are trying to do both and put an event together and travel the world, and it's just it requires a lot of work. And as far as location, I mean, look at you, Oscar. You picked on paper one of the worst location to put an event together, New York City. There are so many events there. There are socials. Like, you don't need a congress to go to New York City. You just fly whenever you
Yeah.
want, and you have 17 places to go and dance, yet
Yeah.
your event is killing it. And
Uh-huh.
why? Simply put, hard work, great
uh
talent, experience.
yeah.
What else? What am I missing?
I mean, it's very true. Like New York, you can go dancing there and have a great time. I think one of the main things is like we definitely try to involve, a lot of the people, like the DJs down there, the dancers down there. Yeah, New York is a different monster, like no other place that we've ever done. But
100%.
we definitely wanted to make something happen because from like a lot of people year after year telling us, man, we wish we had like, the big salsa festival like the one that we were doing in Texas and New York. And so I was like, okay, like I remember going to New York and I was at a Yankees game with Osman and we kind of started talking about it. And I was like, if you want, we can do it here. Like, just let me know and then I'll start looking for hotels. He said, yeah. And, we had the support of a lot of the dancers there and we started making it happen. And now it's something like they're really like proud of. So they love to come out. They love to bring their student teams out. And so, I mean, I just feel like it's going good. Like, I guess I don't know, like if they have
Just put
something
in the
like to be
work.
super proud of, yeah, just put in the work, make it
Just
happen, make sure they're good. You're good.
on paper, everything goes against you in New York City. Hotels are
Yeah.
expensive, everything, like
Yeah.
socials everywhere. You cannot pick a date that it's a good date, you know?
Hmm.
So yep. Question here from Guatemala. How should we treat those dancers that become good dancers and suddenly don't show up at social and don't socialize anymore? What's your advice or what's your take about that uh, phenomenon?
Yeah, that's kind of tough. Like, I've seen it happen before to where like, I mean, some dancers like maybe at some point they start to kind of burn out and then they don't want to, go down or maybe something happened. But honestly, like if you take care of them and they still like get to this point to where like, oh, I'm not gonna come down to social dance or it makes it or even socialize, it's kind of tough. Like I myself probably wouldn't bring them back just because it's not really bringing anything to the event. I think one of the things, and it's kind of tough to say, is that there's so many events nowadays that even if you have a really good show, a lot of these attendees have probably seen that show. It's
Uh-huh.
not something like new unless it's a debut. So you socializing and social dancing to me is probably the most important thing that can be out there.
By
And if
far, by
yeah,
far.
and if that's the thing that you're missing, I would just say like, still make sure they go off and you send them off okay. They finished their weekend, they had a good time, but I just wouldn't bring them back anymore.
It's just ridiculous. I think all these people that catch a little bit of a fame because they had one good show and they are suddenly like Beyonce and they're not showing up anywhere and they're not nice. You're just like pretty much going to be done really, really quick, really soon. You're
Yeah.
not going to be relevant. And on the contrary, people that are mediocre, yet they social dance and they party and they're friends of
Hmm.
everybody, they're being traveling and hired by everybody. That's
Yeah.
just the way it
Yeah.
is. Because at the end
Uh-huh.
of the day, social dance,
Yeah,
social. Well, it's all about being
for sure.
social.
Yeah,
Danielle
for
is
sure, without a doubt.
Danielle is asking you to stop laugh and be
She's really famous.
professional.
Danielle's really famous. I
So
can't
come
I
on,
can't
be
I
a
can't deal with her.
professional.
This is
Uh,
a suggestion for all the congresses. If you want your congress to blow up, you got to bring Danielle De Leon. Actually, no,
yes.
she's really cool to have in the audience. So I feel like I put Danielle De Leon. Like I actually put Danielle, and then also there's another guy. Like it's good to have like some people like Danielle at the event, especially watching the shows because they cheer for everybody and when you get people to hype others up on stage, man, those performers are gonna have a good time. You know what I mean? So like it's one thing performing on stage and nobody's screaming, you're kind of the audience is kind of blank. But with somebody like Danielle, she's gonna make sure she gets hurt. So yeah, definitely take her out.
Um, how do you deal with those? Like you hired a dancer and he's not really a part of the event. Do you try to speak to them and see what's going on, or you just simply don't hire them again?
What do you mean?
Like if you hire a dancer, you had great expectation from them, yet they didn't put up the work that expected. Be a part of the event. Maybe they brought the same show 2 years in a row for your event, and they think that you would not see that and catch them, or they showed up late to the workshop. Do you try to communicate to them and make them understand that it's wrong, or you just simply don't talk to them?
I mean, if they're not social dancing, and I guess that for me, like if they don't have that passion to be out there and socialize or social dance, I I just try to bring people who take it upon themselves that still I feel like have that love for dancing to want to be out there without being asked. Because when you start to have to ask them, that's when you kind of start to get into that little territory like, oh, like now we got to tell them what to do, and like no longer is it like a friendly, like, oh, like let's be cool, like enjoy yourself at the event, make sure you dance. Like if they don't have it upon themselves to do that, it's tough. Like I really don't tell them about that stuff. If they showed up late to the workshop, that's something that yeah, I would say like, hey,
Yeah.
you showed up late. Yeah, that's something that you can definitely tell them. But their passion for wanting to come out and social dance with people, that's not something I guess you can teach or say to them. Yeah, for sure.
100%. I think professionalism is something you can address and hope it's going to change if you really like the people. But being a people is not something you can put in a contract. And again, it's just funny. So here's a little bit of an insight. If you're a dancer and we agree on a salary and a two shows, two workshop, good. Just remember, be a part of the event. Make sure we notice that you were
Yeah,
there. I mean, I literally had some dancers that put up a great show, put up some good workshops, but I haven't seen them the whole weekend, and
yeah,
that's
for
not
sure.
always a good sign.
Um, I want to give a shout out because I saw this person watching David Stein. He's actually the guy that I'm working with in San Diego. But even before like starting to work with him, like he would come down all the time to Texas. And if you ask any girl, like most of the time we do this, with our dancers. If you ask any girl, hey, who'd you have a really good dance with, or who was your favorite dance of the weekend? They're always gonna say David Stein without fail. So David Stein from Majesty in Motion, like the smoothest social dancer that I guess I hear all the time
I,
out
I
there in
I
San
got a
Diego.
chance to meet him and his beautiful family, and we don't know each other
Oh
a
yeah,
lot,
cool.
but I
Uh-huh.
can echo what you said because I hear it quite often.
Yeah.
And it's just great. It's just great and super necessary to do that, and that's what makes other people stand out.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Danielle,
yeah.
of course, mentioned about alcohol inside the ballroom, which it makes people stay and not go outside. That's a good point, right?
Uh-huh.
But at the same time, you can get the ballroom crowded for no reason. Maybe it's a good idea to go outside to drink and let people dance inside.
I at our events we let people come in with alcohol. Like, and I know most. I'm gonna get some messages from some promoters because like I know in the hotel contracts, a lot of times like the hotel makes you get like an F&B, like a food and beverage minimum, to where people have to spend a certain amount.
Hmm.
Um, we try to like in our negotiations, and sometimes it may be impossible for some promoters or for some cities. But in ours, we try to make sure we don't have an F&B minimum, or if we do, it's very small to where like we use that for
F&B
food or
being
something
food
like
and beverage, right?
food and beverage, yeah, to where people have to spend money on drinks, water, alcohol, or anything like that. We try to eliminate that from our contract and not have that and just pretty much do the rooms and other stuff. And I think that helps out a ton and it makes for an amazing environment because, yeah, you know, the instructors or other dancers, you know, they want to be able to have a good time and drink, you know, the way that they do at a club. But if you don't allow it in the ballroom, more than likely they're going to go up to their room and that's when like you don't really see the dancers down there. So if they can have a drink downstairs and just have their cup, you know, or whatever, like they're going to be down there like available for people to ask them to dance, or you'll at least see them, and it creates for like a good environment. So
Um,
we try to allow alcohol.
I agree with everything you said, and you know, this is a big thing for us as well, being on a cruise ship, the onboard revenue, also in the pre-parties that we host, in most cases in South Beach or downtown Miami. We also have that food and beverage situation. I do think that everything that you said is very important and needs to be taken under consideration by the promoter. But another very important point is the service, the location, the distance, and the price. You know,
Hmm.
you be greedy and charge $27 a drink. Don't be surprised if your revenue is not going to be that high. Yet, you know, you charge a reasonable amount of, you know, money and give them a nice drink in a nice cup and not those cheap stuff and have a nice setup and make sure that you process payment fast. Like a lot of little things like that, that at the end of the day, if I'm responsible for your onboard revenue, or in our case here, food and beverage minimum, you better do these little things if you want to make some money, because people will
Yeah,
pay.
yeah,
People just want the
yeah, yeah,
service that comes with that.
yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure.
Close to the airport, make it easy to shuttle. Okay. What do you think about having hotels by the airport?
It's kind of tough. It's kind of tough. Like honestly, I think we try to pick locations that are good for when people are there. So like when you get to the airport, in most cities, you don't want to stay by the airport because like everything is away from it. So like in New York, um, the Uber ride is probably going to be like 30 minutes or like 40 minutes. But in New York, you don't want to be staying by the airport. We have the hotel right in Manhattan, in between Times Square and in between Winter Park, because you're going to be spending your 3, 4, 5 days at the hotel, not so much at the airport. So you want to be able to get out of the hotel, walk around, go to a store, go to a restaurant, and not have to take an Uber every single time you want to go somewhere. So
Right.
I understand, yeah, the hotel thing, but I think we prefer to have it in a destination spot.
Of course, there's a destination aspect, sightseeing, and there's you know, price conscious move by staying by the airport, close to the airport. But then you pay more money when you want to go and get out of the hotel, or you don't have restaurants by your hotel. Look, I really think that it's about the DNA of the event, and it's up to the promoter to understand what he's trying to achieve. You know, if you want it to be a destination congress in with a sightseeing and a nice hotel, so therefore you're looking for a different kind of people to attend your event, people that can afford, you know, these hotels, and, you know, understand the
Yeah,
value that comes with that. And if you want to cater, which there's nothing wrong with that, to dance teams and people like college students and people more, you know, price conscious, airport hotels are also a great
yeah,
options. And I attended some
yeah.
events that were okay, you know,
Mhm.
and did just fine. So it really depends who. I mean, don't try to get a big time concert artist and sell a $75 a night, ticket being at the airport. I just don't think it's
Yeah.
gonna work.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's about the DNA of the event. Guys, if you have any
Yeah,
other
for sure.
questions, let us know. Uh, Post it right here. Oscar, what would you share with everybody about your event and what's a good reason to attend this year to New York? Let's talk about
Um,
that Memorial Day weekend.
New York, I mean, if you haven't been to New York, social dancing over there, whether it be on a regular weekend or for some event, if you come to the event, you're gonna see so many social dancers in New York. It's a completely different animal. It's the only place where I guess I can go social dancing and just kind of get into this zone to where you're just making up stuff like on the fly. Like it's completely different the experience that you're gonna get social dancing in New York, whether it be salsa or bachata, just because the level is so high, the music is so great, and then plus on top of that, I mean, you're in New York, like you get to see so many different things. Like who wouldn't want to go to New York, even if the Congress wasn't there? Like it's a great spot to go to.
Dancers are everywhere.
Uh
The
huh.
social dancing
Everywhere.
level is a whole different level. People are super
Yeah.
nice. And no matter how many times you visit New York, I mean, I don't know how many times I've been there, countless time. There's always
Hmm.
something to do. You know, you never
Yeah.
get bored. It's not like I've
Yeah.
seen it, I'm done, you know?
Yeah. 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 For sure. For sure.
Awesome.
Oh, about New York, I guess one of the things too, like I feel like there's like somewhat of a misconception about like New York and like the hotel price is a little bit, more expensive than other places. But honestly, like going there, once you're there, like what you're gonna spend maybe like $100 more or $150 more on the hotel, you're gonna save a ton on the food because the food there's like everyone knows the halal guys right there. Everyone knows like New York pizza. There's all kinds of delis to where you're going to get some good food like for a low price as compared to in some other cities you have to go to a sit down restaurant and you're going to spend a lot of money at a sit down restaurant every single day. So it kind of balances itself out. Like that's the only kind of misconception that I usually hear from New York, but it's a really great place to go to.
You know, my grandfather used to say in Spanish, there's a cheap way of living, but it's not worth it. I don't know if it
Yeah.
fits this conversation, but yeah, you might save on the hotel, but then when you go downstairs, there's nowhere to go. You need to
Yeah.
take taxis everywhere you go. You pay more
Yeah.
for food because you need to stay in the hotel. I mean,
Yeah.
again, back to the
And
DNA of the event. Newsflash: ADC Cuba in 120 something days is more expensive than a regular ADC. But there is a reason for it. You go in June, we added an extra night. We're in Royal Caribbean. We're going to Havana. More things are
yeah.
included. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just, there is a value to sometimes to pay a little bit more, as well as with the hotel night, because
Yeah.
sometimes it's just not worth it to go to a $99 a night hotel.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. For sure. For sure.
All right, so
Yeah.
what's to expect in New York? Do we have any concert artists booked already?
Right now we're working on different concert artists just because there's so many people out there. So we kind of talked to New Swing Sextet. We're also talking to like Chiquito Team Band, which I haven't really seen them at a Congress yet. So it'd be great to have them there because they go to New York often. So we're still working on it. But for now, like we have our instructors lined up. The major artists from New York. These people travel everywhere around the world. Like all those people like from Korea and Holland and all these places that came, you get to see them all in one place. On top of that, we're bringing artists from San Diego, we're bringing artists from Italy. So there's definitely going to be like the instructor lineup there is it's just going to be ridiculous.
And really quick before I let you go, why Texas for the next BAG and not, I don't know, so many other locations?
Well, I definitely wanted to do Houston just because I'm from Houston. Like,
Got
I've
it.
always done events in other cities in Austin and San Antonio, New York, San Diego, and Cancun. We did last year for the Yamule retreat. But this is home. This has always been home, and I've always definitely wanted to do something here in my own hometown. So definitely wanted to represent.
Awesome, my friend. I think this one was a good one. A lot of valuable information, like I expected from talking to somebody like you. And I hope a lot of people listened and enjoyed this conversation. Guys, again, if you want to visit any BIG of Oscar, what website should we visit?
Just go to bigsalsafestival.com, and if we're gonna put all the congresses right there, so bigsalsafestival.com, and you'll be able to see everything.
Awesome. And we're going to be able to see you also on ADC Cuba in June?
Yeah, we'll be there.
Awesome, my friend. And performing.
Yeah, and performing. Yeah, for sure.
All right. Thanks again. And I really appreciate, like, in 5 minutes, literally, we hop on a phone call and we did this fun chat. I think it was awesome. So thanks again. And I'm looking forward to see you Memorial Day weekend.
Cool, man. Thanks for having me. We'll see you there.
Take care, my friend. Bye-bye.